And we are back with another episode of Straight Out the Lou. Today we have a recap of Super Bowl 55, a quite uneventful Super Bowl, one that was highly anticipated, but was a big letdown as Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers demolished Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So today we'll start our episode with a discussion of what happened on Sunday. We'll go over what this means for Patrick Mahomes' legacy. We'll go over whether or not Tom Brady is the GOAT of all GOATs. And then we'll go into a little bit of NBA talk as the Warriors have dropped 4 of their last 6 without healthy centers and with Steph Curry going off. We'll also go into the Celtics as they have had a particularly intriguing road run here, losing to some pretty shaky teams, and then also beating some pretty decent teams on the road. So Chris will go over that. And then we'll finish up with Luke going over the Bruins rolling into their matchup with the New York Rangers coming up here. All right, guys. So on Sunday, Tom Brady, the GOAT of NFL football, showed out. I believe he had a Super Bowl high record of 80% completion percentage. He had 3 touchdowns, hooked up with his buddy Rob Gronkowski for 2. The Buccaneers defense dominated. It was a particularly sad showing for Kansas City. Disappointing overall for me.
Yeah, you rolled the dice again and bet against Tom Brady. You just can't do it, man. It's honestly truly amazing watching this guy play the game of football. He does not lose. And when he does, it's only to NFC East teams. This guy just somehow finds a way to get it done. No training camp, no OTAs, no anything, no preseason. 7-5 start, and the guy rattles off 8 wins in a row. Nothing like it. 21-29, 201 for 3 TDs, and a 125 rating compared to Mahomes' 52. I'm very thrilled. 7 championships. It's honestly amazing when you say it out loud. And, he's already focused on 8 probably. He's probably started training today and getting ready for 8. So, very, very impressed. I didn't see a blowout coming, but I did have a very strong feeling Tampa Bay was going to win because they have that man. That as Stephen A. Smith would say about that guy who's one of the worst playoff quarterbacks of all time, Tom Brady's a bad man. He's a bad man, and he showed Tyrann Mathieu, Dylan's sleeper, great guy, great defensive guy, how it's done. I loved every second of this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go against Tom Brady. I'm just thankful to be alive to watch this man play the game of football for so many years. And I've heard a lot about this. He came in, and the coaches and the players will tell you he completely changed the culture of that team. Arians said after the game, we didn't know how to win last year. We brought Tom in, and he taught us how to win. I mean, and another true statement by Arians after the game is he said, well, I didn't do anything during the season. That's actually true. He did nothing. It was all the assistants and the players and Tom Brady. You listen to the way the players talk about him. I think it was Fournette and Devin White after the game were talking about all week how he was texting him every night, we will win this game. We will win this game. You heard about his epic pregame speech. Hopefully we get to see that soon. The man is just – he's the best leader of all time. He's the best player of all time. Any sport. We'll get to that later. But it's unbelievable what he was able to accomplish with no training camp, like Luke said. Unbelievable run. And as far as the other keys to the game, I think we hit on a lot of them in our last podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Tyreek Hill, not a factor. Dylan was all over the Bucs defensive line, being a huge factor in the game and deciding the game. That was a huge part in the game. And a lot of that was because Kansas City didn't have anybody blocking. But, yeah, we hit on a lot of those last podcast. But thrilling, as Luke said. Thrilling.
Yeah, some crazy stats in this game for sure. The 2 that stand out to me the most have to be that no other Kansas City wide receiver other than Tyreek Hill had more than 2 catches. That's crazy with this offense. And then, of course, the unreal stat that Mahomes ran 497 yards behind the line of scrimmage, evading that D-line. I mean, the signs were all there for me. I went with my gut, having watched that Super Bowl last year, and picked KC because I thought they could overcome whatever shortcomings the team had and whatever advantages the Bucs had. But that D-line against that that injured O-line was just too much to handle. Jason Pierre-Paul, animal. Shaquille Barrett, animal. Ndamukong Suh. I mean, those hits Mahomes were taking were brutal. Not even on the sacks, just when he was under pressure, getting it away. I don't know how the guy does it. I mean, he's unreal. Obviously, the legacy, will he ever be the GOAT? I don't know, but he's the most talented guy I've ever seen. Doing what he did with that O-line, with the guys dropping passes like they were. I mean, it was unreal watching him perform with pretty much every other player in Kansas City trying to lose the game. He really is something else to watch. As Chris Godwin said on the sideline, he's a magician.
No, I agree with the majority of that until at the end that you said he played unreal. He did not play unreal. He played extremely average. He did not have a good day. And I am one of the biggest Mahomes fans. 2 of 8 in the first quarter for 9 yards. There wasn't really any offensive line mishaps that I saw in the first quarter. It really came later in the game. Obviously, at the end of the game, he was doing everything he could. But, Bucs were giving them the short routes, keep the clock going, keep them in bounds. The 2 throws that everybody should be talking about, though, the one where he rolled out to his left and threw it to the back corner of the end zone, absurd throw. And then on the 4th down where he literally leaped in the air and threw it from the ground, basically, 30 yards in the air and hit the guy right in the face mask. I mean, that was the greatest throw I've ever seen in my life. But overall, I wasn't impressed with him. I really didn't think he had a good day. But
well, okay, so you say the problem with that was, I said the play was unreal. Okay, I misspoke. The effort was unreal.
The effort was there, and it shows that he's a winner compared to these guys like Rodgers and Breeze, and more so those guys that he's going to pass in his career. You can tell that this guy wants to win football games and that he'll do anything he has to win. I mean, what is he getting, surgery today? I mean, he's going to be a winner. He's going to be a good quarterback. But when you're going up against Tom Brady, you can't have average days. You cannot have average days. And one thing that came to mind real quick when I was watching this game was, man, how much would I have loved to see Josh Allen running backwards 50 yards like he always does. I think that would have been awesome watching that man. He would have ran more than Mahomes, no doubt. They would have had the ball on the 10-yard line. He would have gotten sacked for 80 yards. I mean, that Bucs defense, hats off to them. Great day. If you look at the last podcast and you take a look at my legacy draft, I think I win with Brady, Bulls, and Antonio Brown.
Yeah, a couple other things. Andy Reid had this is one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. The Bucs were daring them to run the entire game, and when they did run, they did it successfully. And I know that's not what they do.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 9 carries, 64 yards, 7 yards carry.
Yeah, they were doing it well, and they just refused to stick to it. If they had kept doing that, you at least force the safeties to come down. Maybe you get a play over the top. But so I thought that was interesting. And then also more on the Brady culture thing. I know there's some people that will refute this, but the Buccaneers looked a lot like the Patriots usually do at the end of the season. They capitalize on other people's mistakes. They take away your best player. They don't turn the ball over.
When I really saw that, Chris, was in the Super Bowl when I saw Chris Godwin hit a Julian Edelman crackdown block on a run play. So right once you saw that, I was like, that is the most Patriots run play of all time. That is Bill Belichick. We're going to run the ball right here, and everybody's blocking. And they were bought in. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were bought into the Brady way, and it pays off. Everyone's mainly getting their first ring on that team. And also the greatest celebration of all time by Winfield. That's going down in the history books. I gotta get that photo framed. What a celebration.
Yeah, that was sick. That was awesome.
Well earned for Tyreek Hill, who, just like Jaylen Brown, how Jaylen Brown already has 5 NBA championships, how Tyreek Hill obviously already has 7 championship rings. So I think it was great.
Pulling Jaylen Brown, what has he done to you?
Well, remember when he said that, I'm going to have 5 NBA championships by the time I'm 26? Remember when he said that? And Tyreek Hill said that too. He was I'm going to have 7 championships. I think it was a great wake-up call for the NFL and for Kansas City that, It's a privilege to get to play in the Super Bowl. It's not easy. So I'm really happy, and I think we're going to see a really strong Kansas City team next year because of this loss.
I was really disappointed with the demeanor that the Kansas City Chiefs came out with, though. That was one thing that I thought was going to be able to allow them to overcome the shortcomings that they clearly had coming into this game, was that they were just in it last year. And the Bucs, besides Tom Brady and Gronk, really had no experience in this situation in terms of the coaching staff and the players. Obviously, the Brady effect, huge. But you had a whole roster of guys who were just there in a nail-biter game, and they pulled it out, right? So, obviously, Andy Reid's son had his whole mishap early in the week. I really do think that screwed with Andy Reid's brain, because that man did not look like the Andy Reid that we have seen the last couple seasons out there.
No, but
the first half timeouts, probably the worst coaching decision.
Oh, that's vintage. That's vintage. He's always been horrible with the clock. That's vintage.
What I want to say is, though, in the last podcast too, I also called this. Kansas City comes out way too conservative after bye weeks. I don't know what it is, but their play calling after bye weeks, if you look at all the games when they've had Mahomes, they try these ticky-tack plays that just go nowhere, these screens.
They ran a screen pass on 3rd and 4 in the first half. I think
like you said in the last podcast, which I don't blame you for because this is how they usually play. You said, I expect a lot of big plays from Kansas City in the first half. But it's so weird that it's just a trend I've been seeing. It's so weird. I don't get it. I mean, Reid had a tough day for sure. He could have.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what was on his plate off the field, what's happening with his kid. But you have to put that out of your mind for the big game, obviously. And I really do not think he was able to. He was lost. He was really lost. It was concerning to see.
Now, for Mahomes' legacy, do you really think this is going to tarnish him in the long run? I still think he's going to be slotted in as the second greatest of all time. I still think he's on that trajectory. I don't think it tarnishes his legacy though. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's a really tough loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. As in, I don't think he can catch Brady. I don't really care how many rings he wins unless they meet next year and Mahomes wins. Brady has him head to head at 43 years old in the Super Bowl, and I don't think he played bad. He's obviously going to be an all-time great if he continues like this. But he's not going to catch Brady. Another thing I want to add: this is what Russell Wilson has to do every single week.
I saw Russell Wilson there in the press box.
Yeah. That's what he has to do every single week when he plays quarterback. Is just run around the backfield because his offensive line sucks. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, I heard there were some rumors out of Russell Wilson's camp recent that he's been very disappointed with the pass protection that the Seahawks front office has handled or given him. I mean, excuse me there. Other things that were quite shocking. Besides Andy Reid's mental mistakes, clearly Kansas City's mental mistakes were a huge screw up there for the Chiefs. I mean, all those holding penalties on defense, the pass interferences, the offsides, the drops, Kelsey on 3rd down, Tyreek Hill in the end zone, Williams in the end zone. I mean, Brady won the game. But again, this is another situation where the Chiefs handed them the game.
Oh, would you stop it? Would you stop it?
In a sense,
would you stop it with this?
Two touchdowns dropped, a 3rd down or a 4th down punt.
Oh my God! Would you stop it?
You have to give credit to Tampa Bay though for being disciplined.
Oh, of course.
And they weren't at the beginning of the season. Also, you talk about the officiating. The officiating was terrible in the first half. There was a ticky-tack holding on Evans that gave him a 1st down. The one in the end zone was an egregious call, a horrible call on the pass interference in the end zone. The one down the sideline to Evans, that ball wasn't catchable in my opinion. But
neither was catchable.
Yeah, I was rooting for the Bucs, but I mean that was horrible. I don't know why the refs wanted to reject themselves into that game. So I just quick comment on that.
Yeah, it's sad to see. Going into last year's Super Bowl, a lot of Niners players were talking about how they hoped that the Kansas City penalties that had occurred all year. Last season, they were number 1 in defensive holdings all season. And then you go into the Super Bowl, I don't think the Niners got one call on defensive holding. But then this year, for whatever reason, I'm not going to speculate, but you see a lot of flags.
They had to give Mahomes a ring. They had to give Mahomes a ring early.
And then they wanted the GOAT narrative with Brady. So,
No, that's not true. They just called the game the way it should be called. There were only 2 egregious calls in that game. Everything else was fine.
The game should have been called like the Packers game was called. The refs should not be involved unless it's an egregious penalty. And to Dylan's point about the Niners win that game last year if they have most other quarterbacks in the league. Because most of the quarterbacks make that throw at the end of the game.
Besides those 2 calls that Chris just showed, like, try and tell me another egregious call from that game.
There were 3. There were 3 in the first half that I thought were ridiculous.
2. Just those 2. The Matthew one and the one down the sideline to Evans.
And the holding call that they call on Evans.
No, that was holding.
But those were big plays as well. On big plays, it's like the NBA playoffs. You got to let them play.
It had no impact on the game. The way the Chiefs offense played, it had no impact on the game. And also the Buccaneers didn't score from the 1-yard line on 3 plays after horrible play calling and horrible personnel management. So I really don't think it would have mattered if those calls go the other way.
The win-loss wouldn't have changed, but it would have been a much more close and exciting game.
And also, but first of all, like Kansas City, why is he open? How is he open over the top, though, too?
True.
Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He clearly had a couple steps on him. Like, how does that happen? Same exact thing with Green Bay. These teams are horribly coached. And this is why, Chris, I want Bill Belichick if I'm starting any coaching, anything. Because you watch these teams, and they're so horribly coached. They're not disciplined. Timeouts are mismanaged. And no one knows what they're doing. It's embarrassing. And I think the NFL needs to have smarter coaches, and it needs to get smarter because even you, Dylan, were saying, like, I could be coaching in the NFL right now. Just some of these, like, decisions are just so stupid.
I know. So, okay. Yeah, with that, I mean, schematically, no way I could be in there right now. But some of these play calls, third down play calls, I mean, you give me their playbook, I can call a better play than their weak-ass screenplay they're calling on third down or these weird
timeouts.
Obviously. I mean, these guys need to go play some Madden and just figure it out. They need to go figure it out. It's ridiculous. It really grinds my gears, man. It really grinds my gears. Yeah, it's crazy. Undisciplined teams, or not teams, team and the Chiefs, a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of stupid penalties. They wanted to lose. They didn't want to win. Mahomes is the only one out there trying to win. So let's get into it here a little more formally. So what impact does this really have for Mahomes' legacy?
I really don't think it's going to have as much of an impact on his legacy until you compare him to Tom Brady. Because any other quarterback, I think you'll be fine. The 2 things that this hurts Mahomes for, even though he didn't play like awful, he gave himself a chance. He was trying to create, but his teammates weren't playing that well. 1, he obviously lost the head-to-head battle, as Chris was saying. 2, he got blown out in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady has never gotten blown out in the Super Bowl. Those are just two things right there you can pull up already. And you want to say that it's easy for, like, you think about it, it's like, well, Brady got 7. Mahomes is more talented than Brady, blah, blah, blah. He should be able to get 7. But it's honestly what I've come to the realization is that it's truly incredible what this man has done, Tom Brady. And for Mahomes to get 7 Super Bowls, that's just a lot. I can't see him ended up getting to Brady, as Romo was saying throughout the weeks before the game. I don't think it tarnishes his legacy. I think it's a little strong, but I think it definitely puts a dent in it.
Well, like you were saying, Chris, it's going to be interesting to see Mahomes 2-3 years from now with a roster that's pretty weak compared to the roster he's been working with so far in his career. You know, once the doldrums come, will he be able to keep it up, or is he going to kind of turn into a Russell Wilson in Seattle where they look good at times, but then the roster catches up to them later, and you know that effect could definitely have a negative impact on his potential ring chasing.
It's okay though, because his wife knows he can't be stopped. So That's always great
True.
after he literally just got embarrassed on biggest stage. So haven't seen many posts and Instagram stories from those people in a long time. Very happy about that. So it's just a win-win situation here. The two annoying people lost and the GOAT won. It's awesome. Just a great weekend.
Yes, definitely. So next season, as of right now, the NFC runs through Tampa Bay as much as I would like it to run through Levi's. Objectively speaking, Tampa Bay is the team to beat. So would you guys have any other QB other than Tom Brady next season if you had your pick of the litter? Anybody, Mahomes included, are you going with Brady?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you need the winning quality. He brings a winning quality to your team. Even if you don't have a great roster, you're going to win 11 or 12 games and be in a position to have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's done this before in New England, brought teams. 2011, that team sucked. They had one of the worst defenses I've ever seen, and he brought them to the Super Bowl. 2013, that was the worst roster he had in New England his entire time in New England. His offense, no weapons. His best weapon for most of the season was Kembrell Tompkins, who was out of the league and was undrafted. The defense was bottom 5, and they're playing in the AFC Championship game. There's nobody else I want on my team. He's going to bring a winning quality. You have a chance to make the Super Bowl if Tom Brady's on your team.
My younger brother over the summer, we had a nice little argument where he said if he was starting a franchise today on August in 2020, he would much rather have Lamar Jackson than Tom Brady, and it wasn't even close. And so I took Tom Brady, and my franchise has won Super Bowl, so I'm already pretty happy about that. But I can't agree with Chris Moore. There's nobody else I'd rather have than Tom Brady for next season. I'd rather roll the dice with 44-year-old Tom Brady, 7 championships, arm strength looks fine, everything looks good, weapons, than any other quarterback, really, even though he's not the best quarterback right now. He's not the best anymore. He's the greatest. You got guys like Mahomes and Wilson, and I don't need to hear any more about Josh Allen. Like, all these people trying to tell me this guy was better. I saw a list mid-season that Tom Brady wasn't a top 11 quarterback anymore, and that bum, Justin Herbert, was the top 10 quarterback in the league. This guy had him ranked at 9, and Tannehill ranked at 8, and Tom Brady outside the top 11. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. So, maybe that guy's one of the, well, Brady just throws to checkdowns. Brady doesn't like to throw, which is just smart football. So he wins. It doesn't matter. I will take Tom Brady. Sadly, my New England Patriots will not have Tom Brady. So it's bittersweet watching Tom Brady win this Super Bowl. Having a lot of fun with it right now, obviously, because it's great for the man. But as a Patriots fan, we're going down a tough road, and I'm very upset that we did not re-sign Tom Brady. And I blame Belichick and Kraft. I blame them both.
So if you had the Bucs roster and you had any quarterback, you would take Brady over Mahomes.
If I had the Patriots roster, I would take Tom Brady.
Over Mahomes, over Watson, over Wilson.
As we saw last game, Mahomes can't lift up bad players. He can't do it. He didn't have his guys. He didn't have his talented guys out there. Guys were dropping passes. People couldn't block, and he couldn't get in the end zone.
Hold on. If you had Tom Brady on that Chiefs team on Sunday, and you had Mahomes on that Bucs team, who's winning?
The Chiefs.
Brady.
Jeez, that is blasphemy.
You want to know why? Because Brady actually knows how to read defenses, where Mahomes has blatantly told media that he's still learning how to read defenses. This guy, Tom Brady, picks up blocks better than he can absolutely orchestrate a defense. He knows everything that's coming. He'll call chip blocks. He'll send guys in motion. He'll get enough guys to block, and he would have made sure that offensive line was good enough for that game.
He also would have demanded that Kansas City run the ball and just throw the ball every single down.
Oh, yeah. There would have been 50-50 in game plan. I really don't think it would have been close.
That is ridiculous. I cannot agree with that at all. Especially after what you saw. You're
gonna give Tom Brady now the best players in the best team roster in the NFL on offense, and you're now going to tell me that he's not going to win?
and you're going to give him the most lopsided offensive line, defensive line matchup we've seen in probably the last 10 Super Bowls.
Not lopsided, though, when you're smart and know how to pick up protections and know how to get the ball out quick. There's nobody better than Tom Brady getting the ball out quick.
They were just getting outpowered. There was no way to scheme for the talent mismatch there.
How about not using
flip screens, 5-yard sticks, run the ball?
What do you think they were doing?
They were blocking with 5 guys all game. They didn't bring in a tight end at all. They blocked with 5 guys the entire game.
Because Travis Kelce can't block.
They get another tight end.
He shouldn't be playing.
It's the roster. That's the roster.
He quit on him anyways, so why is he playing? If he can't block
Kelce?
Yeah, he quit on the team anyways, so.
I wouldn't say that. He had his best half in the second half.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Would you stop it? Would you stop it with these little dink throws? They weren't covering anybody. The whole point.
That's all Kelce is. He's a guy who finds soft spots in zones. He's not that great, but that's what he is.
Garbage time, maybe, because that was garbage time. And
that's
all
what
you
he
want
is
to
all
do,
season. Tyreek Hill opens up the field, and then they were just dropping Devin White behind him. The only reason
no one was opening up the field when Travis Kelce got all those catches, dude. The Bucs were playing a prevent defense and making sure people were staying in balance to keep the clock moving. And that's when he got 6 of his catches.
The field was open because guys were running downfield on streaks.
Yes, because they're in prevent defense, because they're not stupid like Green Bay or Kansas City. You're not going to let people run past them so that Kansas City can get the game closer. They're going to keep – what?
Why are you getting mad? What's your point? We're agreeing.
You're saying that Travis Kelce was actually getting open.
Because they were running defense over the top because they had these dudes running streaks because they had to catch up.
Not just because they wanted them to complete passes and just keep the clock moving. That was the whole goal. I think Kelce had a horrible day, and I agree with Chris that he quit on his team. I was very unimpressed with Kansas City. However, I think they're going to be an absolute powerhouse next season.
I don't understand why you just got so mad there.
Because it's absolutely ridiculous. It honestly just drives me insane that this guy – because we already know it's going to be 5 years from now if Brady and Mahomes never play again. If Mahomes has 3 rings, people are going to look back and go, oh, wow, Mahomes threw for 50 more yards than Tom Brady did. He also completed 6 more passes. And it's just ridiculous because you can't look at stats like that. And Travis Kelce legitimately had 4 catches for about 34 yards. That's all.
A huge drop.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, yeah. That's the second biggest drop of the game after the Tyreek.
Hopefully he goes and makes another Dunkin' Donuts commercial so we can see him on TV. As we saw our fellow fallen soldier, Aaron Rodgers on his State Farm commercial. Great commercial. But at least he made his first Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah, shout out to our producer, Emily DeLosa, her mom, behind that State Farm commercial. Great stuff.
Great commercial.
Great ad. But after this game, can you guys be in agreement with me here that George Kittle's the best tight end in the NFL?
I've been saying that forever. I have been saying that.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
you've known this.
But who do you want? Luke, I don't think Luke knows the answer to this. You have one game on the line. Who do you want as your tight end right now?
Kittle.
No, you have one game. That's all you need.
Kittle.
You need one.
Get out of here. Get out of here with what you're insinuating. Get out of here.
Gronk.
I want
Gronk
for one
game. Leave the call.
Leave the call. Look what happened.
No. Here's the thing about
He was
Gronk.
open.
Hold on.
He wasn't open all season. He got open last night.
Chris, 1 second here, though. Second touchdown, Gronk did great getting open. The first one was a design play. It was a great play action play. It was just great everything. And it was designed for him to slip out wide open where Sorensen loses him in the play action. I could have caught that and walked into the end zone.
No, great play.
I mean, 3 years ago, if Gronk –
If
you had Kelce and – yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting at. If you had Kelce and Kittle 4 years ago with how they are now, or if you had Gronk 4 years ago in the league now with Kelce and Kittle, Gronk's taking the cake probably. But right now,
Gronk,
come on.
Prime Gronk's better than current Kelce and Kittle right now. And
he's probably the best of all time. You know, I mean, come on. The blocking, he couldn't get tackled. You know, he did a little too much of the snow when he was, retired, but got a little skinny. But
he's back.
He's still solid. Good player.
Getting some NBA.
Yeah, let's get into some of that. Chris, you can start us off with what you've seen from the Celtics lately.
Yeah, I mean, I think we picked this up. I think we had it before the Warriors game. We previewed that game, I think, last time we talked about
Yeah.
this. So, yeah, I mean, that was a nice win. Anytime you can win on the road out west, good win. And then, of course, the next night, as always, as we are every night, shorthanded. And they lose to the Kings, who are, whatever. They're an average team. So, whatever. They split the back-to-back. I thought they were going to do that. And they go and they play the Clippers. Thought they had no chance. Jaylen Brown doesn't play. Got to give credit where credit's due. Tatum had a great game. Kemba, first time, one of the few times I've seen him make a clutch shot with the Celtics. He made a huge shot, game winner. So big win there. And of course, I predicted this, they would go to Phoenix and they'd lay a complete egg. Now Brown didn't play. I'll give him credit. They fought, but Kemba Walker's 4 for 20. Tatum had a good game. Everybody else, decent game. If Kemba has an average shooting game, they win the game. And they're going to lose to the Jazz tonight, so they're going to drop 12 and 11. But the biggest issue with this team, if Kemba Walker is on this team, if he's going to be a part of this team for the rest of the year, they are not going anywhere unless he's consistent. That's the only thing I've taken out of this road trip. But they're going to lose tonight. They go 12 and 11. The schedule gets more favorable, so they'll be a top 4 team. We'll see what happens. But if they're going to go anywhere, Kemba needs to be consistent.
He needs to go.
Yeah, he needs to play like he did against the Clippers every night.
No, he needs to go. He needs to get out of Boston.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. But if he is on this team, he has to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, what was he, 2 for 20 or something like that the other day?
4 for 20 against the Suns, but then right after his best game of the year. I mean, it's just that classic Kemba Walker. So he got to be consistent.
How are you gonna call him cardiac when this dude goes 4 for 20?
Chris doesn't. Chris doesn't.
I know, but I'm not speaking to anybody here, but just like
this
crazy.
guy's been incredibly overrated ever since he came to the Celtics. He was properly rated in Charlotte, where he's a very good, he's good point guard. He's decent. But what I've noticed one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. Tatum gets the ball. They set that they set that high screen for Kemba, and he passes to Kemba at the top of the key for the 3 catch and shoot 3. You know that play? They like to run.
Yeah.
So Kemba gets it. And the air ball's the 3, which, okay, bad shot, get back on defense, whatever, goes out of bounds. This man, Brian Scalabrine, looks dead into the camera, and he goes, that is a good shot. And I almost threw up. I really almost threw up because I totally forgot now how that air ball and 3-pointers is now good shots considered where he could have taken the driving lane.
Look, the thing is, he had a great year last year, and I think you even acknowledged that. He wasn't great in the playoffs, but the regular season, he had a great year. He was averaging
he had a great year.
He was 21 points a game, and he was their most consistent player all year. That is a fact. Not in the playoffs, but in the regular season before the bubble, he was. This year, he sucked. He should be playing in the G League this year. I don't know if that's because of injury or if he's washed up or what.
Washed up, just like I predicted. I don't
know what he is, but I know he needs to be
never going to be healthy again. That knee injury, he's never going to be healthy again.
Maybe not. But the bottom line is if he can't make those shots and he's going to go 24 points one night, 4 for 20 the next night, they need to do something about that. Either he comes off the bench and is like your guy off the bench to get you points, or you get rid of him. The guy, he can't be doing that when he's supposed to be your number 3.
I haven't watched enough Kemba Walker to understand his playmaking ability. Could he impact the game without shooting 20 shots a game?
Yeah, no, he gets in the way. And I was watching this with my dad, who was pointing out these great examples. He's getting in Tatum's way when Tatum's trying to post up. It's not his fault. It's more so Brad Stevens' system and his offense and his how they move. But Kemba needs to do a better job of facilitating if he's going to shoot 4 for 20. And you know what I mean?
I agree with that. And I don't know if you remember the Raptors series last year. He was not good. And that was partially because of the Raptors' defense, box and one. But he made a lot of plays off the dribble. I know that game they lost where Anunoby hit that shot. Remember that pass he made to Daniel Tice? So it looked like it was going to win the game. I mean, he made a lot of plays like that last year in the playoffs that he's not making right now. I don't know if he's just really trying to get his legs under him with the shot, but something needs to happen there, or else the Celtics are just going to be losing the second round. So they need to figure it out.
Yeah, out here in the Bay, you have the Warriors dropping 4 of their last 6. I think their last 3 losses, they've been within 3 points in the final minute. So really tough losses without having a guy over 6'7" out there. The boards have been brutal. These guys cannot get a defensive rebound. It's unreal. Like every single time they go down the floor and miss a shot, there's a O board. Like the Warriors on defense cannot get rebounds. It's ugly. But you have Steph Curry playing out of his mind. And it's sad to watch all that talent getting put to waste on a 500 team. But what is encouraging is that you have Klay coming back next year. And without Klay, and defense is doubling and triple teaming Curry all game. Whenever he's out there, double team. This guy's still most likely trending towards a 50, 40, 90 season. That is unreal without a real second scoring option out there. I mean, greatest scorer of our generation. It's awesome to watch this guy, grow up watching this guy.
No, greatest scorer of our generation? Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Him and Durant. Those are my 2.
Greatest
Durant's probably greatest shooter, scorer, maybe not. But dude, it's sick to watch this guy. It's awesome. If the viewers haven't been watching the Warriors lately, get on whatever streaming service you can and watch some Warriors games. This guy Steph Curry, without centers, with double and triple teams, he's going to be in the top 3 for the MVP at the end of the season. And next year with Klay, I'm calling it right now, he's going to be the MVP. Easily. Possibly unanimous. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but, dude, he's right there.
They got to make the playoffs.
For the viewers who enjoy watching losing, they can flip on the Celtics and the Warriors. But if you want to watch winning, you can flip on your Boston Bruins. They have now against the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference last year in the playoffs, the Philadelphia Flyers. The Boston Bruins are now 4-0-0 against them this year, absolutely thrashing them in their 4 meetings. It's been a great start. They play tomorrow night against the Rangers on national TV. However, expect a slow start from the Bruins as they had 2 games over the weekend canceled due to coronavirus problems with the Buffalo Sabres. So a little bit of a longer layoff for the Bruins coming into this series, but I still expect a win. I demand a win, and we'll see what happens. Tough schedule coming up, about to play in Lake Tahoe in a couple weeks, so exciting times. Best winning percentage in the NHL. It's looking good right now.
And if we had time, I'd bring up the list again of the playoff chokes, but too bad. Maybe next time.
So great content covered here. We are returning to Bates College, to the Dirty Lou, here in the coming days. We'll be entering a quarantine period where we may not be able to produce any episodes. But coming out of this quarantine period, be ready for a rebrand of Straight Out the Lou. We're coming at you guys with some exciting stuff, a new website, a new look on Instagram, and some new stuff for our episodes here. As always, thank you for tuning in.
TikTok now.
TikTok as well now.
TikTok, yes.